But as a general admission, I think that there are very few people in legacy media who, knowing what we know now, having reported this book, who were as aggressive on this topic as we should have been, could have been, and I'm certainly including myself in this. I'm not including Alex. But that said, this also was a cover-up. This was the Biden family and a small circle of aides.
Wait. Say it again.
Not including Alex. But that said, this also was a cover-up. This was the Biden family and a small circle of aides that were not only trying to present Joe Biden in his best possible self with teleprompters and only scheduling events between 10 and 4 for the most part. They weren't only lying to the media. They weren't only lying to the public. They were lying to cabinet secretaries. They were lying to donors. They were lying to Democratic officials. They were lying to members of the White House staff who were kept away from him. So that said,
right,
the media, including me, we should take our lumps 100%. But I do think there is a larger issue here, or at least a parallel issue here, of a White House that was hiding stuff from the American people that was deleterious to the American people.
It makes Trump look right. Because that hatred for him that led people to compromise their own professional principles just to ensure that he didn't win the presidency? Well, if you were willing to do that, then all of a sudden, does it not buffer his arguments about lawfare being exercised against him? Does it not buffer his argument about fake news? Does it not buffer the credibility that comes to his arguments that it was a witch hunt? Does it not in some way buffer the notion that somebody might have cheated him in 2020? I don't believe that last part. He lost that damn election. And I get that. I'm talking about him genuinely feeling cheated, as opposed to knowing he's lying.
Stephen A., just hold on right there. I got to stop you in your tracks before we get into today's show. The man won 3 elections. I had to say it. The man won 3 elections. You know, we know what happened. We know they mailed it in. We know they had illegals, ghost voters, dead people voting. Yeah, my grandma, rest in peace to grandma. Rest in peace to grandma. They had grandma on the 2020 ballot. Lord have mercy. Oh, they had my grandma on that 2020 ballot. Unbelievable. They put my grandma, gave her, she had her social security and everything on that 2020 ballot. Unbelievable.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Yeah, buddy. Right about everything. You know, they done dragged us through the mud, dragged them conservatives through the mud. You know, conspiracy theorists undefeated. Yeah, buddy, it's all coming out. Biggest scandal in American history. You know, right about this, right about that, right about this. You know, the fake news media. Witch hunt, shams. Banana peels, kangaroos jumping on the freeway, the interstate, at the intersection. Scared to walk down the street. Banana peels. I'm telling you, them Patriots was like, man, did I lose traction control? Did I forget to put them lug nuts on tight enough? The car slipping and sliding. It's them banana peels all out in the middle of the street. Yeah. You know, but it's all coming out, man. Tons of people are saying, you know, wait a minute. Trump was right. MAGA was right. Conservatives were right. Man. What? Yeah, liberals, Democrats walking away from the party. They running everybody out of there. And they're saying, man, wait a minute. Let me think about this. Let me do my own research. Turn off the fake news. They turn off the TV. And they say, wait. They were right? Trump was right? Just can't make this up, family. Let's go and jump in. But if you're new here, join the family. Hit that subscribe button. I hope everybody is blessed, well, and healthy. It's one love to the human race, man. You know? And it's all going to come out. The truth must shine in the light. The truth must shine in the light.
You know what's one of the most frustrating parts of being in this grassroots movement over the last nearly 10 years? This annoying feeling as if the world has gone mad. As if we're the only people left analyzing current events honestly. As if we're the only people with our friggin' eyes open and our ears listening. Because we've been here yelling the same things into the void for years. And the entire time we were labeled as the crazies, right? We're the nutcases engaging in right-wing conspiracy theories. But time and time again, our conspiracy theories end up being proven true, and then we got these actors in the media who are garnering all kinds of attention, making all kinds of noise online for their latest hard-hitting, fact-based take, as if they're the first people to come to the realization, but they are literally saying what we've been saying for the last 9 years. It's absolutely wild to me that it takes so long for people to come to such basic conclusions, and we've got another one of those examples, this time with Stephen A. Smith, who's now realizing, there might have actually been a point to some of the stuff that Donald Trump has been saying over the last couple of years. Let me show you guys a couple things. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I basically set up the context. Now here we are in really what feels like the Twilight Zone, where after nearly a decade of being told that we're crazy, all these mainstream actors and a bunch of them on the left are basically telling us that, yeah, we were right. And of course, that Trump was right.
It makes Trump look right. Because that hatred for him that led people to compromise their own professional principles just to ensure that he didn't win the presidency? Well, if you were willing to do that, then all of a sudden, does it not buffer his arguments about lawfare being exercised against him? Does it not buffer his argument about fake news, fake news, fake news? Does it not buffer the credibility that comes to his arguments that it was a witch hunt? Does it not in some way buffer the notion that somebody might have cheated him in 2020? I don't believe that last part. He lost that damn election, and I get that. I'm talking about him genuinely feeling cheated, as opposed to knowing he's lying because, oh my God, the numbers say so. Why should he give a damn? The rest of us, yes. Why should he give a damn about the numbers? You see what hatred can do? You see what an absence of objectivity can do? You see how the corrupt actions of a few, whether it's him and a potpourri of his lies over the years, or Democrats and the lies that they were spewing leading up to the election. You see how we all got screwed? Because now the American people are sitting here not knowing what to believe or who to believe anymore. And then you wonder why I'm pissed.
Absolutely. Trump has been shouting from the rooftops that the system is rigged, that the media is biased, that they'll say or do anything to make him the villain. And for years, people had their head in the frickin' dirt and denied it. Throughout the last 10 years, we were the crazy people. We were the ones who lost the plot, right? It's crazy how it took people a decade to see the basic reality. It's taken a decade for people to realize that the whole fake news thing wasn't an attack on the free press, but was simply the appropriate response of somebody who was being attacked, maligned, and slandered to such a degree. People are just realizing now that, maybe Donald Trump had a point. It's crazy how people live in such a state of delusion, in such a state of ignorance. And look, I'm not saying this to attack Stephen A. Smith. I like Stephen A. Smith. Do I think that he should be president? No. Do I even think that he's a top-notch political analyst? No. Although he could be if he put a lot of effort into it. But no, the point that I'm trying to make here is that there's so many people like Stephen A. Smith who have been lied to. And look, I have some sympathy if you fell to the fake news, but also at the same time, you're an adult and you're expected to make informed, good decisions. You're expected to engage in democracy. And after 10 years of this, people are finally coming to the conclusion that the media cannot be trusted.
Stephen A. Smith has. I know how a lot of y'all feel about Stephen A. Smith. All right. But, just earlier, he was high in tons of polls to be a running candidate. That's how bad the Democrat Party has gotten. That this man is in polls to be considered a candidate. Hey, what do y'all think of that? But that's how bad the Democrat Party has gotten, man. And we know how he likes to stay in the middle. He likes to play both sides, flip-flop. And we know he's also, but he's been one of those ones that come on in some of these takes and does keep it real. You know, and then there's some of his takes that are, he's deranged, you know. He has came out and said, you know, I do regret voting for Kamala Harris. I think this time I do regret my vote. You know, we've seen the viral clips. So, hey, you know. You just can't make it up, man. You just can't make none of this up. You know. They dragged us through the mud, man. So that's why I'm never going to stop talking about it. Never going to let it just slip through. They dragged us through the mud. And now a lot of them just either walking away, thinking it through, or just completely silent, speechless.
And frankly has been completely out of control? Come on. It's hard to give most people an excuse, especially when the dishonesty has been so blatant. I mean, a big conversation that we're having right now is the Joe Biden health cover-up, which I think is tied into this story as well, right? The constant fake news attacks on Donald Trump also meant fake news defense of Donald Trump's opponent, which was Joe Biden at the time. And so I'm thinking, you know, sure, the mainstream media is duplicitous, sure, they lied, but if you're an adult and you are paying attention, unless you're a hyper-partisan, it should have been absolutely obvious what they were doing, what they were up to. This clip here ought to put it into clear perspective.
For the last 2 weeks, Republicans seem to have had one single strategy: spreading videos to make President Biden seem feeble, old, and unfit. But as we like to say on this show, the truth matters, but only if you see it. This right here is a video that the RNC published of President Biden at a D-Day event, apparently struggling to sit in his chair. But in the full video, you can see he was just waiting for Secretary of Defense Austin to be introduced. On a separate occasion, another day, the New York Post shared this cropped video of the president seeming to wander off during a skydiving demonstration at the G7. And guess what the RNC did? They ran with it. But in the wide shot, you can see the truth, that the president is talking to several of the skydivers that are just out of the frame. And now outlets like Fox News are now saying that Biden's pause at an LA fundraiser over the weekend is just the latest example of supporters directing the president. Well, spokespeople for the White House and host Jimmy Kimmel say he was just taking in the crowd. Now, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and others are calling these cheap fakes. But what it is truly deceitful behavior that is not rooted in truth.
They were trying to convince you that those clips of Joe Biden were deep fakes. And then they played a bunch of clips that were not deep fakes, but that were literally Joe Biden dementia moments. Oh, we know that he looks super confused, but trust me, he definitely wasn't, like in that one clip at the G7. Oh, he was talking to pilots. First of all, why the hell would he be talking to pilots? Secondly, he's not even talking in the clip. He's just wandering aimlessly, and everyone around him is like, what the hell are you doing, Joe? So, you know, at one point, you know, it's good to be understanding, but also at the same time, wake the frick up, people. We've been saying this forever, and we've been called crazy, right? Donald Trump was called crazy throughout it. He's engaging in dangerous, autocratic behavior by demonizing the press. He's such a bad guy with fascist tendencies. No, he was just calling it like it was. They are fake news. They were rigging the system. They were lying for Joe Biden. And let's not pretend like anything really has changed. Despite Jake Tapper's little apology tour, it's still the same crap. It's still another phony narrative every frickin' week. They're still talking about the 25th Amendment and Donald Trump's fitness for office. I mean, for Pete's sake, they've put more focus on Donald Trump's fitness for office than they did with Joe Biden for 4 frickin' years straight, when that was the #1 issue of his presidency, at least in terms of his electability. I don't know, I guess I'm just trying to express my frustration after years of just calling it as I see it and being told I'm a crazy tinfoil hat kook the whole time, only to be going through the same process of being proven right and then having basically everybody else collect all the credit for saying the thing like 10 frickin' years later. It's just annoying. I mean, what's next? Were all the cases and indictments against Donald Trump acts of political corruption, lawfare, and politicized prosecution? Yeah, obviously. But of course, when we said it, it wasn't cool, it wasn't in, it wasn't accepted yet, and we were gaslit into oblivion. I feel like we're the only honest adults in the room, and we're living in crazy town. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully.
Yep, buddy, you just can't make it up, man. But it's all coming out. The truth must shine in the light. Conspiracy theorists seem undefeated right now. I ain't lying to you, you know. But we are rooting for America, man. We are so back, you know. Common sense, rooting out all this ridiculous nonsense, the woke crap. You know, we finally have common sense back, man. We are rooting for President Trump and this administration. We're praying for peace, peace through strength, a better way of life for everybody, man. No matter what your skin color is, no matter what you look like, where you come from, what your age is, we're rooting for a better way of life, man. For our kids, setting the table for the longer term, you know. But once again, we were right. Trump was right. People are coming out and admitting it. What do y'all think about that? Let me know in the comment section. I love y'all. God bless you all and your family. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, you guys.